Yeah, hello. Welcome to my podcast, CH.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, man.
CH is your
My
Chinese,
initials.
your initials for
Yes.
Chinese name, right?
For my first name, yes. It's actually Chen Han is my
Hmm.
first name, which is funny because my dad's Caucasian-American, and I have a Chinese name as a first name. But my mother is Taiwanese.
Hmm.
So, that's where it comes from.
Hmm.
But my full name is Chen Han Egan. Egan is my last name, but I just go
Yeah.
by CH.
So you never were given a Western name.
Never was given one.
Interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. My
So,
dad's full name is James Robert Egan, but my full name is Chen Han Egan.
interesting. So can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about your background growing up, about your parents and,
Sure. Sure. I was born and raised in Taipei, Taiwan, which is where we are.
Mhm.
And My dad's American, my mom's Taiwanese, like I said. Born and raised until I was about 14, and I actually went to local school for elementary school. So when I was growing up, Mandarin was actually my first language,
Oh,
and then
wow.
it switched over. Yeah. I went to American school in middle school, and that kind of started switching over. And of course, starting from middle school and onwards was all international slash American education. Therefore, English became my first language.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I was in Taipei until I was about 14, and then I moved to Beijing for 2 years. I was at the international school in Beijing, and then after that, I went to Abu Dhabi for the
Wow.
last 2 years of high school. My dad's job kind of took us around, so I've been hopping around the world, and then graduated high school, and then went to California for university. Was there for 4 years. Came back to Taiwan, kind of helping out with my mom, and been here ever since, and loving it. It's home.
So you still feel at home in Taiwan, in Taipei?
Oh, absolutely. I grew up. From where I live now, I grew up, 15-minute drive from where I am, in that area, and it's home. My mom's still here,
Yeah.
and yeah, family's here. So,
How was it like growing up, switching from Taiwanese traditional education to an international school in Taiwan?
for me, actually, it wasn't too bad because growing up, I was speaking English with my father, and
Yeah.
English was always communicated, and so the switch wasn't too bad. Obviously, there was definitely an adjustment period, but you know, it wasn't hard. It wasn't that hard of a transition.
Hmm.
So it was great. You kind of get the best of both worlds, right? I was kind of immersed in the local scene, and with local kids, and but still had my dad's his friends and their kids hanging out with them. So speaking English with them, and then also speaking Chinese with kind of more of the local folks. And yeah, man, it's I guess that's why I'm more kind of multinational, and
Yeah.
uh, you know what I mean? Just loving the international scene. Definitely a third culture kid.
Yeah. Well, I've had several biracial kids or people in my podcast so far, and
Yep.
they've all shared experiences of being bullied at school. Did anything like that ever happen to you?
Oh man, actually, yeah, I guess in elementary school it did.
Hmm.
Um, Man, actually, it's funny that you brought this up. I haven't even thought about this in so
So
long.
basically, my
Jeez.
podcast becomes a form of therapy for every guest because
Oh
they
no,
think
it's
about their
it's
childhood
it's
trauma
great.
and everything. Yeah.
No. Actually, I really am not traumatized by it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting to think about now that I'm more of an adult. But yes, there's definitely some bullying. Making fun of the exotic looking kid. But then on a plus side, actually, growing up, I was able to start making money. Right, I actually started doing commercials when I was about 3 years old,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so being in Taiwan, being a mix, it definitely is at an advantage when it comes to getting gigs with commercials,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean,
Yeah,
in
the
that
mixed
realm.
look is
So
very popular for commercials and just the general
absolutely.
population. They all want to have mixed looking kids, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So you know what? I'll take it as them bullying the kid who's able to go and leverage that side of things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but uh, actually, to be honest with you, man, growing up, because I think because my father is Caucasian, and I don't know what it is. I mean, growing up, I've always had this kind of sense of pride being an American. And so as a child, actually, I think I was a little bit more spoiled.
Hmm.
And, you know, obviously being in commercials and stuff, it actually really, it was stroking my ego a lot. Right.
Uh-huh.
And definitely, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I was just a cocky little kid, you know.
Uh-huh.
But you know, as you grow up and you experience things, you start to get humble, and you understand that, you know what, like you're just a little ant, you're a little dot on the map, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you had Andrew Chow as a guest. I grew
Yeah.
up with him. I've
Hmm.
known him since I was like, I think 10 or 9 or 10, something like that.
You were classmates?
Um, we were not classmates. We were just
Mm,
close family friends.
I see. Yeah.
I don't know if you know Manav. Manav is our other kind of brother.
No.
The three of us grew up together,
Uh-huh.
and we were, you know, third cultural kids, so we have very similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely got bullied a little bit. I remember there was actually an incident where somebody threw a book at my face and it actually hit me, and I think I still have a little scar. Is
Wow.
it here? I can't remember. Anyway, it's like I know I have a scar here from something like that. It was so long ago. It was like maybe like second or third grade.
Uh-huh.
Can't remember the fine print, but yes, definitely had to go through that being in Taiwan, you know.
How do you think that influenced you as a person growing up?
The
Before you
bullying or just
realized,
being
because you just said you were just like an ant. We were all not very significant in the big picture, right?
sure,
But
sure.
maybe growing up, you don't have that kind of wisdom yet. Growing up, you deal with stuff, and everybody takes themselves very important. And so how
Yep.
did that influence you?
I actually think the biggest influence in my life was my family going through some real big financial troubles,
Mm,
and it really taught me a lot. You know, uh, we were growing up. I was well off. My father was very good at his job. He got a lot of gigs. He was a landscape architect, and
mm.
so he actually, the reason why I came to Taiwan was he did the master planning from Taidong to Hualien. That whole master
Wow.
planning was done by my father, which is why he came to Taiwan in the first place.
Hmm.
And you know, met my mom here. They got together, and I showed up, right?
Yeah.
And you know, years down the road, when I was about 13 or 14 in my teens, um, you know, there's some just really bad stuff that happened to my mom. You know, sometimes the people you think you can trust most, you can't. You know, and
Mm,
from that we, you know, lost the house I grew up in, and there was just some big financial troubles.
yeah.
And before that point I was like, oh, everything is easy, life is easy, you know, it's no big deal, things come natural. There was, you know, money was never an issue. And then from that point on, man, I, you know, when my mom got broke, and I saw that firsthand. You know, even though I moved abroad every single summer and winter, I came back home to see her. I would see, you know, what it was really like, right?
Hmm.
And of course, I was just a kid and I didn't have a lot of money. And so that really hit me, you know. But
Yeah.
honestly, man, I think being broke is the best lesson you can have in life. It really is, you know.
I would
And
agree with that. Yes.
man, it taught me so much, you know, it really humbled me. And
Mm,
so I think that was the single biggest kind of precursor to me becoming who I am, you know,
hmm.
and just having the drive to want to provide for my family, and you know, build a better life for myself. And that really gave me that drive, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I would say that's maybe the biggest lesson. And obviously from that, it gave me a lot of the motivation to want to learn about business, to learn about investing, which is kind of like my forte now.
Hmm.
As you, of course, is well aware, I'm fully in crypto,
Yeah.
and it's been completely life changing for the last, you know, 6 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
So before your family went through these financial problems, you never really thought about what, do you have any dreams of what you wanted to do later as a grown up? Were you just like, yeah, I got money, I don't care? Or what was your mindset back then as a teenager?
I think um, I don't really have like, you know, oh, I want to be a president or some shit like that.
Mm,
But you know, it's really more, um, I want to do business, right?
hmm.
I think just who I am as a person. I'm a very sociable guy. I like to connect things and connect people. Definitely an extrovert, and you know, just like being out and about. And so I think business was a really good fit. And I studied economics in high school, and I did really well with that. And same with in college. And I just thought that this would be kind of my forte. And honestly, crypto gave me a lot of passion. Like discovering crypto led me down a path where I found something so intriguing, so interesting, and so disruptive. And again, being so early in something that I found myself being at an advantage versus a lot more other people, right? I'm not like OG, like, 2010, 2011, 2012, entering Bitcoin, it was like nothing, right? I mean, I got in when Bitcoin was like $6,000. It kind of kept dropping, but the more you read, the more you learn, the more conviction you have, right? And so it's been life-changing, man. And I think right now, I just recently launched my own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if any of the homies are watching, please, like and subscribe here and there, right. Of course, to this show, to this episode here.
The name is in the background. Yeah. Into what is the crypto rabbit hole? That's the name of your channel, yep. Right? Right.
There it is.
So what is your channel about? Like, what do you do more TA analysis, like a technical analysis or fundamentals, or what exactly is the purpose of your channel?
The crypto rabbit hole, actually, it is not TA. It's actually focused towards bringing value to the average Joe, right? The normal person who walks down the street who has no idea about crypto. I'm trying to bring value to those guys because adoption, sure, it's growing, but less than 5% of the world is using crypto, right? I mean, there's this whole other 95% of the world who don't know about this, who don't realize the opportunity they have in front of them. And it just takes some digging, right? You got to go on the internet, you just search a few things, you read a few things, and then this whole new world opens up to you, right? And you just stumble down the rabbit hole, right? So that's where the idea came from. And currently I have, at the time of recording, I have 3 videos up. They're all, just general info, just really trying to bring value to the average person who don't know anything about crypto.
Yeah.
Right? No TA is technical analysis, complex, analysis. No, actually, just very basic. What's happening around the world? How does it affect you? I think that's kind of my direction is not to say, oh, look at this, it's going to go to the moon, pump it. No, I'm actually not about that. I'm all about how do I get in touch with the audience in the sense that what's happening around them? How does this affect them? It's not like, oh, invest in this and then make money from this. No, actually, it's what are the problems that are now arising? Things like, for example, inflation, right? Where does that come from? How does that come into play? And so I think my background in economics and business kind of help gear towards this direction that I'm going down on with my channel. And a lot of it's macroeconomics. Again, I just started. So I think to start, I'm going to do just kind of more generic stuff, but then I'm going to start focusing more niche, right? Right now, I want to build a portfolio of videos on my channel so that if a person who has no idea anything about crypto, when they come on my channel, they can learn about, oh, what is Bitcoin? Why is this a great opportunity? How do I invest, right? What are the steps I need to do to participate in this new digital economy? I think that's what I'm trying to do here.
So what's your role? Why should a person listen to you explain crypto to them? How did you get into it, and what qualifies you to share your expertise or your experience with crypto? Can you talk about how you got into it?
Absolutely. To start, I've always been invested, or should I say interested in investing. Growing up, my mom was always in the investing game, and that's kind of where things kind of got out of hand. She, was involved with some weird people who, anyway, long story short, I saw investing firsthand, so I always want to get into it. But for me, when I first started, actually, what's unfortunate was some of the things I was pulled into actually turned out to be scams. Yeah. Right. So those were kind of like my way into the investing realm. And honestly, the biggest lessons, like I said, that you learn is from failures. Yeah. Right. I learned so much from these failures. Man, when there are red flags now in any projects, they just shot right up for me. Yeah. Right?
You learn to look at those. And when initially, like when I was younger, the things that sound amazing, we don't realize that they're red flags, but a person with a lot of experience is like, dude, when it sounds too good to be true, It
It
probably
probably
is.
is.
So the
Yep.
question is, a lot of people say, well, crypto sounds too good to be true. How can Bitcoin grow from a few cents to now thousands of dollars? And that sounds too good to be true. So, okay, so maybe let's put that question on the back burner. You finish your how you get into it, and then you can share like why you believe that crypto is not one of those scam assets or
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. So yes, actually, I think obviously reading and understanding and researching is kind of where you get a lot of like, these convictions. One massive book that kind of changed the way I see Bitcoin specifically is a book called The Bitcoin Standard. And I urge everybody to check that out because it really kind of examines the history of money, where money came from, the functions. And if you actually look at what the governments are doing with their money printing, that's actually the biggest Ponzi scheme.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't want to be too controversial on your show, but
No, you can be.
you can
I'm
actually
totally fine with
find
that. We can talk about it. Like I have no limitations here.
for sure.
Yeah.
But that is actually in terms of crypto, that really changed the way I view Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, of course, is the mother of all crypto. It's the 0 to 1. It is the creation of the blockchain technology, and you know, we live in a digital world now. Everything is digital,
Mhm.
right? A lot of people say, "Oh, if the internet goes down, where's crypto going to go?" Well, if the internet goes down, crypto is the least of our worries. And the whole complete, government infrastructures and banking infrastructures are all going to go down with it, right?
Yeah.
We rely on the internet so much, and so Bitcoin is the first asset that lives natively on the internet. It is the first asset that you can use to transfer value, peer-to-peer fashion
Mhm.
directly, right? Before that, it was all you had to go through a third party, right? But of course, when you have to go through a third party, these trusted entities or government entities, what do? They abuse their powers, right? Because it's human nature. No matter how much you draw up, oh, I'm legit, I'm kosher, but at the end of the day, it's just there's too much money on the table for you to not take advantage of it. And
Mhm.
so Bitcoin is really the first rules-based monetary system, right? Whereas you look at kind of the legacy system, uh, governments, they print money when they want. They can manipulate the interest rates. They can you know take over at any point with the market. There's a lot of things they can do, right? Bitcoin really is kind of like the first truly a free market. Yeah, of course there's manipulation, but like all things, when you own a lot of these tokens, you have more say, right? But I really think now the inception of Web3 is really changing how the internet transfers value, right? Before it was going through kind of the analog, third party, and now we can do everything a few clicks of the button, right?
Mhm.
It's so easy. I mean, you use crypto, you understand the settlement is so fast, it's
Yeah.
instant. You don't have to on a Saturday and Sunday, the banks are closed. I don't care because I can use crypto. I can send
Mhm.
my friend in the US like that, right? But if you go through traditional systems, I mean, it's a 3 to 5 business day
Yeah.
delay, right? So, I mean, just from a speed standpoint and ease of use, crypto trumps everything else, right?
Mhm.
But also, now that we live in a digital world, the internet was lacking this currency. Bitcoin filled that role, and so now crypto is hovering around $2 trillion in market cap. But if you look at any of the traditional markets, you look at real estate, you look at stocks, bonds, all these traditional markets, they are at all-time highs, way too overvalued,
Mhm.
right? Um, and it's tough for millennials like you and I to buy any of these assets and really, be comfortable with, being able to say, okay, I can actually retire from this investment, or,
Yeah.
or yes, I can actually generate wealth from this investment, right? Sure,
Mhm.
of course, there's many different ways to go about it, with investing in real estate, for example. I can flip, houses and this and that. Yeah, sure. But, you know, I'm talking about in terms of the general market, the whole market industry as a whole.
Mhm.
Crypto, the growth potential is just so exponential for anybody participating. It's really life changing. It
Yeah.
really is.
But so when you get into crypto as a newbie, I guess everybody starts with Bitcoin because that's what the most famous cryptocurrency. But how do people know what is a scam or what coin actually has a use case or what's just a
Mm-hmm.
meme coin? Like, can you explain these different things or what to pay attention to?
Sure. Obviously, I think Yeah, to start, actually, I always tell my friends, just study Bitcoin first, because that's actually the least risky on the entire crypto risk curve. Bitcoin obviously was the 0 to 1. It's the first one. It's been around for 13 years now. We've gone from zero to all-time high of $69,000, which is the absolute best performing asset of all times. There is literally nothing else in the world that has performed better than Bitcoin in terms of an ROI standpoint.
Yeah.
I still think the room for growth is still exponential from here. Not financial advice, but it's definitely the one to study first, because once you understand Bitcoin, then you can go further out on the risk curve. Now if you're saying, oh, in a year I want to make 100x, sorry, Bitcoin's not going to give you that. But there's definitely other crypto that will give you that. Of course, some of them are scams, some of them are shaky. Some of them are experiments. There's a lot of it that's experiments. They're not necessarily scams or Ponzi's, they're experiments, right? For example, DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. These things are very, very new. NFTs, they're very new. These are all experimentations, right? Bored Ape wasn't around, 2 years ago. CryptoPunks wasn't even around. Yeah. Well, I guess CryptoPunks have, but you know what I mean? Like NFTs in general didn't really start blowing up in the last year.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the stuff is still experiments. But you have to realize that the tokenization of things allows for the portability of these assets on the digital world, right? So anything can be tokenized, real estate, deeds, music as NFTs. I mean, these are all things that allow for these assets to move freely on the internet. So that's where the world is going with tokenization. But let's bring it back. I would say still, again, study Bitcoin. Bitcoin came about because it was addressing a massive problem that was unsolvable up until that point. It was the governments printing money like crazy, creating crazy inflation, devaluing the currency, wrecking people's savings. I mean, the 2008 financial crisis was the biggest example of all, right? The subprime mortgages market, the housing market tanked the entire world economy. Why? Because banks were greedy. They were betting on these derivatives. They were literally, you couldn't even tell who owned what from the 2008 financial crisis, right? And then, of course, the governments bailed out all the big banks, but who got hurt in the end? The average Joe, the mom and pops, right? They lost everything. Bitcoin was created 6 weeks after became public 6 weeks after the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Yeah. Coincidence? I think not. And actually, if you look at the Genesis block on the Bitcoin network, that first block had a message imprinted in there. It was the Times article that talked about the chancellor bailing out banks again, right? And so that was literally in the Bitcoin Genesis block. It had that article attached to it. So Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he or she or they are, we still don't know, and we definitely probably will never know, created this entire new asset that cannot be confiscated, cannot be manipulated, cannot be taken away by governments or banks, right? It lives on the internet. And like I said, if the internet goes down, Bitcoin is the least of our worries.
Yeah. I recently looked into who could be behind Satoshi Nakamoto, if it's one person or maybe a group of people that use a synonym. And so there's a list of people who might all be Satoshi Nakamoto, the person or the group who invented Bitcoin. And the question or the doubt that a lot of people who are not full believers in crypto or Bitcoin have is that if I don't know who made Bitcoin, how can I trust that person or that currency? Like, they might hold a lot of it. What if they sell everything? What if they have ulterior motives? Why don't they want to be known? Because like everybody knows the CEO of Tesla. Everybody knows who invented Microsoft. Why doesn't the Bitcoin inventor want to be known if he has no evil motive in mind? And do you have what are your thoughts on these questions?
I actually would say to look at it from a different realm. If you look at the US dollar, for example, did you know that in the last year, 40% of all existing dollars were printed in the last year? That means that they're inflating the money supply. If you look at Bitcoin, I would say the counter argument to that is because we don't know who that is, who Satoshi is, this makes it the best asset class. Because if you study Bitcoin, it's a fixed supply. There's only ever going to be 21 million coins that will ever exist. You cannot make more of it. You cannot just create, more of it out of thin air. It's literally impossible. The code is established. It's created. There's too many people in the network now, and the game theory is already set in play. So the rules, like I said, Bitcoin is a rules-based monetary system. The rules are set. The game is set. If you want to participate, you have to abide by these rules. Yeah. But if you're playing in the American economy, for example, if you're playing in the US dollar game, the government just keeps printing more money. That means I'm in a never-ending rat race. I'm just in this never-ending wheel that I have to keep running and try to make more dollars, but my dollar just keeps going down in value. So how do I hedge against inflation, right? Traditionally, of course, we go to gold, but if you study gold, can you tell me exactly how much gold there is right now? No, impossible. Nobody can, right? You can maybe give me an estimate, but you're still looking at a 1.5 to 3% inflation every year because people can just dig up more gold, right? If the gold prices are up, surprisingly, there's more gold to be found, right? Because there's more production. But Bitcoin, sorry, there's only this much every 10 minutes that gets released, and you can literally see every single on-chain data at any point in time. It's transparent. You can't manipulate it. So I would argue it's actually the best monetary system in the world. Yeah,
and you don't care who made it or what their qualifications are or who are they connected to.
This actually makes it without a single point of failure, and it's truly decentralized. If you look at, say, for example, Ethereum. I'm sorry, if the government really wants to shut down Ethereum, all they have to do is arrest Vitalik. Let's be honest here. It would really tank the price, right? It really would. Yeah, sure. It's still very decentralized, but Bitcoin is the most decentralized because there is literally no single figure that leads the whole entire thing.
So, but what if the person who created or who holds the first wallet, where the initial coins or a lot of coins are in? I think, if I remember correctly, I think Satoshi Nakamoto still holds like 5% of all coins, if I'm correct. So
it's 1 million coins. So actually, it's 21 million coins total, right? So it's actually more than 5%.
Yeah. So even more than 5. So if people ask, what if he sold all of his coins? He could crash the value of Bitcoin. So have you thought about this possibility, this danger of losing?
Sure. So at this point, I mean, he's been dormant since I think 2011. So it's been 11 years since he disappeared off the face of the earth. These coins have never been moved. And right now the market, and this is not what I think, it's the market assumes that they will never be moved.
Yeah.
Sure, if things open up, then it's different. I think they actually have, they have people dedicated on looking at dormant coins that haven't been moved in a certain number of years. And if they ever, wake up and get moved, right? So these are all metrics that professionals, traders, or miners, and those folks, they actually look at those numbers. But at the end of the day, right now, 19 million of the 21 million coins are in circulation. And from the data that I've been looking at, over 60% of coins have not been moved in the last year.
Yeah. I think that's also where game theory comes in, because not Satoshi Nakamoto or the biggest whales in crypto wouldn't really benefit from, first of all, you cannot sell all coins at once because the 5% he holds is billions and billions of dollars. He couldn't even sell all of it at once. Like, you cannot sell tens of billions of assets in one go. You would have to do it over a certain time frame, maybe like over months or years. And then every time you would sell a large amount, the market would dip a little bit. And so every time you would want to sell more, he would get less in return. So I would think, just based on game theory, he would want the asset or the cryptocurrency to do well and not sell all of it, because then he would destabilize his own asset that holds value, basically. So that's
absolutely
why people trust it.
I couldn't agree more. And the thing about crypto is that the token holders, the developers, traders, everybody's interests are aligned, right? Yeah. I mean, if you look at past business models versus Web3 business models, let's say, for example, Facebook, right? Facebook got to start because of network effects, right? You and I use Facebook because 2 billion other people use Facebook, and we want to connect with our friends that, of course, mostly use Facebook, or Instagram for that matter, right? But that's a Web2 model, right? That's a very centralized type model. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he owns it, or whatever the shareholders, and then it's a hierarchy, right? We use the products, but we don't benefit at all. Any shareholder value goes to the stockholders,
Hmm.
right? But with Web3, any sort of token mechanism, tokenomics, these things are aligned. So if I tell you, hey, I want to send you a Bitcoin, and you go, okay, great, and you get into Bitcoin, I send it to you, right? You and I, our interests are aligned. We want this Bitcoin to go up in value,
Yeah.
right? Anybody who uses the Bitcoin network, or if I tell my friends, it's so funny because I feel like I'm a cult leader when I talk about Bitcoin. I'm like, yo, come join my tribe, like let's get it. No, but it's really interesting because if I tell you about Bitcoin and you buy into it, the value of my token goes up. So our interests are aligned, right?
Yeah.
But it's not a zero sum game. It's a positive sum game because you have to understand Bitcoin is only 21 million coins. So the more money, the more digital energy that comes in, according to Michael Saylor, this is his quote, it's digital energy. The more energy that comes in a closed circuit asset, this is what allows it to grow exponentially over time. There's no leakage.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the fixed supply asset comes into play with that.
Yeah. Now, then the biggest problem really is because Bitcoin is an alternative basically to fiat money. What if the governments decide to outlaw it or arrest the founders of the biggest crypto projects? What happens then if governments decide, like China did, or now I think it was it Kosovo or some country? I think they also India, I think, also is thinking about.
Okay, so in this regard, yes, there's several countries that have banned it. But actually, if you look at what has happened after they banned it, for example, Pakistan and Nigeria, after the governments banned crypto, what happened? Adoption and usage increased. Okay. Right now, China, the reason why they banned it is because they can't control it. Okay. This is why they're issuing their own CBDC, central bank digital currency, because they want to control it. They want to control the money because once you control the money, you control everything else. Yeah. Right now, in terms of how crypto is going, China cannot control it. And so that's why they banned everything. But I think once they implement the CBDCs, once they go live, once they really start to have that kind of network effect for their own citizens, everything is traceable. And once everything is traceable, then I believe that China is going to be open to this again, because they don't want their economy to fall behind, because they realize that crypto is the next wave of, the financial development.
Yeah.
Right? The US knows that. I mean, you look at, it comes down to, you're competing with other countries now, right? Yeah. This is why Singapore is so open to it, because they realize, listen, I'm a small little, island, nation state. I want to attract talent. I want to attract capital to come in and prosper, and it's going to help me, right? And so now if you're banning it, then you're really banning your own citizens from using it. You're not actually, you're not really doing much, but hurting your own citizens, because it just allows your citizens not to, get into crypto.
Yeah.
And this is the fastest adoption in human history. If you look at the numbers in internet, right? For the internet, should I say, in the 1990s, I think between 1990 and 1997, internet had about like 160 million users, and it was growing at 63% a year. Crypto has the same number of users as the internet did back in the 90s, but it's growing at 113%. So it's double of the adoption rate of the internet. And we all saw where the internet went. Today we're doing this on the internet, right? It's completely taken over our lives.
Yeah. And
crypto is going to be the same way. It just, the ease of use, it just makes life so much more easier. And the value proposition of all this, it's the future. There's no way around it.
So from your perspective, you believe that governments are not really against crypto. They are just trying to control it. So basically, once they know how to, once they have the right laws in place, they'd be like, okay, everybody use crypto now, because now we can tax you guys. Now we know what you do with it. So we don't really need to worry so much about cryptos being outlawed. We just have to keep an eye on what taxes we need to pay, or what exactly the laws are about buying or selling crypto. And but this is a gray area. Like, some countries have no laws. I think there are very few laws in Taiwan, if any. And some countries like the US are very specific about stuff. Like, even like the biggest exchange in the world, Binance, you cannot even sign up for it in the United States, I think. There might be Binance US.
There's Binance US.
Right, but that's a separate entity, I think. I don't think it's the same company. So, the question is always, how far will countries go to take over the assets of people? Maybe they imprison some big whales, and then they say, the cryptocurrency, the coins are ours now, and we will hold them until we can kind of monitor or manage this project, and then disseminate the coins. Or I don't know if they have any plans whatsoever. But yeah, so what do you think? Like 10 years in the future, how's the development going to go?
So now it's actually becoming more and more regulated. If you look at ETFs, for example, exchange traded funds, these are actually already available in Canada, in Australia, in developing nations. They're actually already readily available for investors to get into it, right?
Yeah.
The US has a very interesting side of things, because the SEC, Gary Gensler, who was a new SEC chair, he actually taught a blockchain course at MIT, right? So he actually understands the nuances of cryptocurrency and blockchain. They've already approved a futures ETF, right, which is just a derivative contract, which actually is not the best thing, but moving forward, it's inevitable. The spot ETF will become available, and then you'll see just a flood of capital that will come in from, different funds, and just a lot more people who are able to invest, because it's now even more regulated.
Sorry, can you briefly explain why a futures ETF is not the greatest thing for crypto or for Bitcoin?
Because you're not, as an investor, especially like for example, newbies, right, who really don't know the nuances. When you're betting on Bitcoin, you're betting on the price, right? Of course, you want to buy in and it goes up, and great, right? That's a very straightforward approach with spot ETF, right? So if I'm buying the asset, if it's correlated with the price, whatever price I'm getting at, I want to just go up, and then and it's done. Simple. But if you're betting on a futures contract, that means I'm actually betting on the value of Bitcoin in the future, right? So then you're just speculating at this point. Instead of buying the asset class itself and then riding it up with it, you're actually just betting either for or against the asset. And there's it's a very complex thing, right? It's a very professional thing, and I think the reason why these things are created is to generate fees for the brokers, for Wall Street. All right, because if I can just go and buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, for example, why don't I just do that, right? I can just buy it and then forget about it and pay negligible fee. But if I'm going through Wall Street, I'm buying a futures contract, and why don't they just go buy spot? Is because ETF is thoroughly regulated, and a lot of corporate entities, they're not going to go and buy Binance or go through Binance or Coinbase, these exchanges. They have to go through a regulated entity on Wall Street in order to allocate funds, because they're all like I said, regulated.
What I found very laughable, they allowed the futures ETF, but the spot ETF they did not allow, and their reasoning was they wanted to protect investors. But futures ETFs are much more risky for normal investors than spot ETFs, because with the futures ETFs, you have way more manipulation going on with insider trading, and they say, oh, right now the price looks a certain way, everybody's going to buy into it, and now I'm going to crash the market. And then through futures, I can. The same thing happens with the stock market, with longs and shorts and leverage trading, and the stock market is at a point where, trading just becomes so difficult, because I think going back 50 years, things were a lot simpler. You just look at fundamentals. And then if a company is good, you just buy it and you hold it until it brings in more money, because the company's making money. But what I realized after the COVID crash, because I started investing in stocks, even the companies that have good valuations, that make money, don't necessarily rise in value. And then there are crazy plays where the company doesn't make any money. They're going up like crazy, and then they suddenly crash. And you don't even know what you're supposed to look at. So with the crypto futures ETF, I feel like it just gives more power to those insiders to manipulate it just the same as the stock market. So that makes it harder for the normal person to just buy something and hold it, because now these big corporations have the power to buy way larger amounts, and they can manipulate it more than the single retail investor like us. Because as a normal person, even if I have a lot of money, let's say I can put 100K in crypto, or a million in crypto even, it's not really going to move the needle in the overall market. I cannot with my $1 million investment make Bitcoin crash or go up enough so I have control over the price. But now large corporations can put in like 500 million, a billion. They can really cause liquidations. And
And
yeah,
we see that with crypto.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, everything is risk and reward, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the guy to tell you, oh, this is a safe bet. No, it's super volatile, right? Anything that has upsides will for sure have downsides, right? And so again, always do your own research. This is why I say, I think the biggest game changer for me is just reading a few books that completely changed my perspective where, I understand the value proposition of these things. I'm aware of the problems it is trying to solve, right? And we've just been touching on Bitcoin, but I have other investments that I'm doing that are way more out on a risk curve, right? But because I'm able to take that gamble, I'm able to make the reward, the returns for myself, right? Nothing is guaranteed in life, right? I mean, everybody knows that. Sure, it's a very new asset class. Again, like I said, everything is an experiment. There's a lot of hot money coming in. You want to try to ride the wave. Do your own research, right? YouTube, everything is on YouTube, man. This is so crazy, right? Everything is learnable on YouTube. And so anybody who's just trying to make quick money, not sustainable, I'm sorry to say, maybe you get lucky here and there, but that's not investing, that's speculation, right? Yeah. And yes, a lot of investing in crypto is speculation, but there's also now a lot more fundamentals, right? It's becoming a mature asset class, right? There's different things you can look at, the tokenomics, burn mechanisms, proof of stake versus proof of work, what kind of returns you get from that, what is the value proposition, what is a network effect? That's actually the biggest thing in crypto. Network effects, what we call Metcalfe's law, right? Which is just the value of the network. As more and more users come on the network, the more exponential growth it experiences, the more value it has. And that value is given back to the users instead of corporate executives, which is the Web 2 model, right? So this is where kind of structurally you see that disruption and switch over to this new Web 3 model, which all of our interests are aligned if we're on the same project, which I think is fundamentally great.
So what is your current strategy? Do you, because you're already in this market for several years, you've already made some money on your investments. Are you more into just securing your profits, or are you still looking for the big growth projects, maybe that are high risk, or do you trade more? Do you just hodl, or what exactly is your personal strategy to invest in crypto?
So for me, of course I have my blue chips, right? I have the Bitcoin, the Ethereums, and I have some that I will never sell. There's no point in selling those because they're going to be around forever. And over time, they're still going to go up, I think, personally, right? Not financial advice, but personally, I still think Bitcoin has a lot of room to grow, not to mention Ethereum and the blue chips. Like I said, we're only at $2 trillion in market cap for the entire crypto market, right? Like I said, all the other markets are 100, 200 trillion markets, right? I think crypto is going to grow there. I think it's going to go there because if you're talking about the tokenization of everything, it's going to actually surpass these other markets, right? Because it's just so easy to tokenize these things and move value around the internet, right? And of course, with network effects, we just haven't seen anything like this before. And so I still think that the room for growth is exponential. Now, for me personally, I have, some of my blue chip holdings, but I also, because I've been in the space longer, I'm more comfortable taking on bigger risks, right? For me, I got into a project that you're familiar with called Bellis. 2 years ago when we first launched, when it was nothing, there was nothing on there. And I was able to get in at a very good price, and it's grown exponentially, especially the last 3-4 months, as I'm sure you're aware. And at this point, it's like I'm still hodling because I find that Bellis could be a top 10, top 20 project, and right now we're sitting barely in the top 100, right? If you're looking at kind of that project versus other competitors, I still think our value proposition is greater, right? Faster EVMs and great leadership and new deals coming into the ecosystem. So I have those plays, but I also have other plays where I'm sitting on stable coins, right? I'm not taking risks with those, so I can buy the dips, right? I use a protocol now called Anchor. Anchor lives on the Terra Luna blockchain. It gives you about 19.5% APY a year. and that's relatively safe, which is crazy to think about in crypto terms, right? I mean,
Yeah.
19.5% is like, oh, it's safe, it's whatever. But if you're looking for traditional markets, it's like, what is happening? What is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like the least risky play in my portfolio, right?
Mm.
The other stuff, the volatility, can go up 30-40% a day, right?
But what is the allocation of what percentage of your portfolio do you put in the safer assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and what portion are you able to put into higher risk, more volatile assets?
I have some that I'm sitting on Bitcoin. I'm actually just putting it in an interest generating account that I don't even have to touch. Same thing with Ethereum. I have right now so in a bull run, my allocation is more towards the risky side of things. But if we're actually going down, then I will put more in stable coins. And I think a good rule of thumb is always have a bag where if you go up, you got to start just taking profits. And the further up you go, the more profits you take. And so that way you're always in the green, because inevitably it's going to crash again.
Yeah.
Right. And when it crashes, you want to have the stable coin ready to be able to buy the dips. And
are you somebody,
it's all different. Everybody's different.
Do you set stop limits, or how do you decide when to sell?
Honestly, a lot of it is just kind of gut instincts. I look at the markets all day. I kind of can gauge where this project is in relation to kind of other similar projects and where they're going, because they all move very similarly, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand that a lot of money in crypto rotates, right? So maybe they're in this project today, they pump, they take profits, and then they're looking for the next thing to pump, right? And so a lot of these is just kind of pumps here, this project pumps there, and this other project pumps there, and it's just all over the place. And so it's impossible to time the market.
I made a mistake about that last year, because I when I heard about, for example, Cardano, I heard about it, of course, like most people, after the biggest pump, after it went up like 50x or even almost 100x or so. And then I bought quite a lot of it. And then it didn't do nothing for a couple weeks or even months. And then I was like, I put my money somewhere else. And then Cardano went up again. And the other coin that I bought instead of Cardano did nothing. So how do you know so that's like timing the market. And you've also told me time in the market is more important or better than timing in the market, which I agree with. But for example, let's say a new investor comes in now. Bitcoin is at a 3-month low currently, and you have to decide, okay, is it a good time to buy now, or should I wait for it to fall? And then also looking at other coins, like recently, Phantom went up a lot. What else?
Avalanche.
Luna, Avalanche. Avalanche is already on the way down now, but especially Phantom and Harmony. Those are two that come to mind. Near, right? Those are these recently, they went up as Bitcoin went down. That's quite untypical if the overall market, because most coins went down and those coins went up like 50 or even more than 50%. So what would you do if you see that? Would you be like, okay, no, I'm not going to touch these until they go back down, or I'm gonna buy now because they're still cheap, because Bitcoin is cheap, because once Bitcoin goes up, they're going to go up as well? How do you analyze that kind of price movement?
I think obviously everybody's different. I think this is why you have to do a lot of research, actually. I think with crypto, honestly, actually, the simplest thing that you can do, I'm telling you right now, investing should be made very simple, actually. The way to make real exponential gains is to actually go on CoinMarketCap, you go to number 50, and you study every single one of them all the way up to number 200, right? You got to spend a lot of time. You got to do what most people are not willing to do to make the money that most people are not going to
research,
make. Right? Research the absolute crap out of these things. Understand where you're getting into, right? And I never chase high. If I see something pump, I'm not getting it. Because I know inevitably it's going to reverse and go back down. So why am I trying to chase high? Because maybe when I buy, it's going to start going down again. Who knows? In the short term, nobody knows where the market is going. Even Warren Buffett doesn't try to time the market. He does what you just said, time in the market, right? Now, of course, crypto is a little different play. There's so many different ways to play crypto, right? There is ways to earn passive income on crypto, right? There's ways to trade crypto. I don't trade crypto. I can't sleep at night if I try to it's too stressful for me, right?
Yeah.
But I got lucky with this Velas project that I was able to get in when nobody knew about it. And now it's starting to get traction, and it's already pumped so high up that like for me, I can just sit back and relax and wait for those things to play out, right? And I've already taken profits where, I can sustain myself and my family and just be comfortable for now, right? But I'm still waiting for that exponential growth, because I really think this project, and that just me, because I study so much of it, I did so much research on it that I have such conviction, right? Of course, I have the other blue chip plays, but these are things that I don't even think about anymore, because they're just part of my asset I'm never going to touch, right? And so I'm not telling the audience to go and do that. I just got lucky to be able to come across a project like Velas and get in so early. Now, most people are not going to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So I think in that, then I would say the best thing to do is just get off zero, test the market, just get into Bitcoin, see how you like it. And then the more comfortable you become and the more research you do in the market, more confident you are in putting your money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for me now, I have allocations in DeFi plays that are extremely high risk, but I'm comfortable because, I'm learning more and more about it.
Yeah.
It's an experiment, and I know that, and I know it can go to zero, but I also know that I can go up 10.
Right. And you don't rely on that speculation to be successful in order to sustain yourself. If people FOMO into these projects because this is going to make me rich, and I put all my eggs in one basket, and this fails, you're ruined. So basically, you really put in what you're able to lose, and if you lose it, it's not going to ruin your life forever. It might hurt a little bit, but you're still okay. It's not going to impact your net.
But you learn from that,
right? Exactly. Yeah.
But you learn from that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I saw a really good post on Twitter. Somebody said, most people, like, you have to get wrecked in crypto.
Yeah.
To understand the nuances.
I did get wrecked.
You have to get wrecked.
I didn't get wrecked with huge positions, but I have lost a couple thousand here and there. Yeah. Just trading at the wrong time. I haven't really invested in terrible projects so far, but I've just invested at the wrong time, where I was like, I invested at the all-time high when a coin just pumped, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get in. Yeah, no, too late. Skip that stuff. Wait for it to
honestly. Yeah. Absolutely. Exactly. I think a lot of times it's perfectly fine to sit on the sidelines, right? You can sit on the sidelines and you can just do a bunch of research. You can read a bunch. Doesn't mean you have to get in right away.
Yeah.
Maybe if something is at all-time highs, what do you think the margin of growth from that point on is? Because that's what you're really investing into, right?
Yeah.
So if things are already pumped 30, 50, 100x, where's it go from there? Because that means in order to grow additionally, that means the same amount of money, if not more, has to go back into that project for it to do even double that.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're better off putting your money somewhere else where it hasn't really pumped, right? The fundamentals are great. It's got a great leadership. You just do your research, right?
Yeah.
There's over 10,000 different projects you can invest into. Granted, a lot of them are scams. A lot of them are rug pulls. That's why you have to be super diligent on what you invest in. And I think I'm actually going to do a video on this soon. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to talk about the things I look at, right?
Yeah.
When I invest, when I research, actually, that's the biggest thing, is when I research what kind of articles are talking about this project, what kind of leadership is behind this project. What have they done? Because a lot of these rug pulls or a lot of these scams, who's the leadership? You don't even know. What have they done in the past? They're not successful. Why would you invest your money, your hard-earned money, with folks who have never done it?
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I got into Velas had nothing when I first got it, right? When we first got it, there was nothing. Right? It was literally a conviction on the founder, who is a very, very successful businessman in crypto. He's been an OG since 2011, and whatever he's trying to do, I'm like, I'm down. Like, this is my ticket.
I agree, but that's a direct contradiction to the mentality you have with Bitcoin, where you feel like you don't know the founder for sure, and that's why he doesn't have so much power over the project, right? So that's a question
established.
Right. Okay. So basically, with anonymous founders, you kind of want to hold out a little bit longer to see, okay, is it stable over a longer time? You wouldn't really FOMO into it.
It's all different, actually.
Yeah.
It's all different. I think we can't look at Bitcoin as the same as any other cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is in its own class.
Okay.
Right?
That's why the others are called altcoins and not, okay. So basically,
right.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the king still. Okay. Now Bitcoin is digital gold. The reason why I think Bitcoin is great is because it doesn't have a founder and because it's so successful already.
Yeah,
it clearly solves the problem of governments running a monopoly on money. Okay, that's the value proposition of Bitcoin. Now, all these other projects, they are kind of restructured financial investment projects. Okay, they're not, monetary solution for the fiat currency. That's Bitcoin. All these other projects is not the same thing, right? Ethereum is not solving that problem. So that's why people are like, oh, should I invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum? I'm like, invest in both.
Ethereum is kind of more like Microsoft Windows, right? If you want to compare it to something.
They're the money of the internet. You can think of the money of the internet. They're creating this decentralized computing system.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like AWS, but decentralized. That's Ethereum, right? Yeah. You can build software on top of that.
Yeah,
right? So a lot of developers use AWS, Amazon Web Services. They use that to build their own project, right? But that's centralized. And there have been instances where AWS went down. And so these projects also went down, right? But because that's a central point of failure. So hackers can go and just hack Amazon Web Services. And then, consequently, all the people who build on that, they all go down. Ethereum, however, is decentralized, right? And so that's the beauty of the blockchain. It's completely decentralized.
That brings me to the question about the dot-com bubble. So in 2000 or late 90s, everything, because the internet was new and everybody would get so excited that most companies or all companies were crazily overvalued, and the market had to crash and just basically get rid of most projects, 80%. I don't know the exact numbers. I read about him recently. I forgot, but I think like 80% or so just vanished. So the same fate could happen to crypto, correct? I mean, because
absolutely
everything now is just, like you said, are experiments. At some point, maybe one or a small number of projects will be so successful and will actually have a use case for the general population that everybody will just drop all the other stuff that doesn't really work. So how do you know when that point arrives that you're not in all those coins when some, like, I don't know, maybe the government says, okay, everybody just use Bitcoin now and Ethereum and everything else is basically useless. And I don't know what black swan events could happen. And how do you
I
brace yourself?
Yeah. So again, like everything comes back to risk and reward. I am taking on that risk because I've seen the kind of reward you can get from crypto, right? Yes, that is the one big risk that we're running, right? We don't know where the space is going. Nobody does, right? Even Vitalik doesn't know where it's going, right? But judging from the current trends, the network effect will keep growing, right? The value proposition of crypto is just the ease of use is so easy. I can never go back to sending money traditionally via bank.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're the same way. Like most of our friends who use crypto can never go back, And so just from that point, the genie's out of the bag, right? Crypto is already $2 trillion in market cap. You can't ignore it now, and things are getting built on it. More and more, ultra successful people are now standing behind it. They're investing into it. Billionaires are now putting crazy amount of money in this thing. So it's not just, the little guys playing anymore, right? It was before, like the ICO pumps and, all these crazy speculation, and the computer nerds back in the day, but now it's completely different. Wall Street is on it. And when Wall Street is on it, that means they're lobbying for these things to happen. They understand there's so much money to be made in it. So I don't see it failing. Like, I don't see the whole asset class failing anytime soon. I really don't. I just see it's going to keep growing exponentially. Sure, there's going to be more regulation, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing for the space. I think regulation is much needed. When it's not regulated, there's a lot more of these scams and all these BS that come out of nowhere. But when it becomes more regulated, then that means more investor confidence will be had and more money will come in, and consequently, it's going to grow the space overall even more.
Yeah.
And yes, the internet bubble, everything is a bubble, man. You look at the housing bubble, it was a bubble, it bursted and went back down. Everything is cyclical. Everything is in cycles, right? Yeah. And you look at crypto, same thing. We had the ICO pump in 2017, beginning of 2018, it crashed afterwards, and then it came back up again, right? So everything is a cycle. And so this is why in crypto, you got to learn to take profits. If you're up, right? You can maybe have a portion where you can hold on forever if you really believe in the project,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would say Bitcoin is a very safe bet. It is a very, very safe bet, I think, in my opinion now.
Mm.
Anybody who has a 10-year view, if you buy in Bitcoin, it is the most likely 99% chance that you will be in the profit 10 years down the road in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
right? I think that's kind of hard to argue against that.
Mm.
But of course, like I said, there's also, you can go further on the risk curve, right? The further out you go, the potentially better returns, but also the higher chance of you getting wrecked,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, everything is risk and reward. We don't know where it's going. All you can do is you can read about the space. You can read about who's doing what kind of value is being brought up to the market. What is the overall consensus on these things? What is the view on these things? How are regulators looking at these things?
Yeah.
These are all kind of readings and research you have to go and dig for yourself and then make your own opinion and invest accordingly, because you can't just go on, YouTube and whoever says invest in this, invest in that, and you do that, because most likely you will fail. Right.
Do you know any crypto founders or programmers who are deeply involved in maybe the politics and trying to get politicians to understand and accept crypto and make right laws about this to
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually recently, the one that was all over the news was Sam Bankman-Fried, who was the founder of FTX. FTX is I think top 3 exchanges in the US. They actually just been inking deals left and right to do sports sponsorships. Actually, the Miami Heat arena in Miami is now named the FTX arena. So there's a lot of capital in crypto. They're well funded. They're doing a lot of marketing, and they're going in front of Congress and the Senate and testifying. And so Sam Bankman-Fried, he just went on Congress. He's talking to them. They're really educating them, because actually it's crazy. If you look at some of those videos of these congressmen asking questions, they have no idea what these things are. They're in their 60s and 70s, right? And they're old school thinking. They don't understand how the internet is evolving. And, we're going to have a Bitcoin president. You know that, right? I mean, you look at El Salvador. El Salvador last year made a legal tender. That's the first nation to take that bet. And we come into game theory, right? And there's only 21 million of these things. And so the longer the time goes on, the younger generation, we live digitally, right? We're digitally native. And so are we going to buy Bitcoin or gold? I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
Yeah, right? Definitely not gold. Yeah. Sorry, Peter Schiff.
Definitely Bitcoin.
Sorry, Peter Schiff.
Right. And so, Bitcoin is going to surpass gold in market cap sooner or later. And as it grows and grows and grows, we're going to come across, we already have a lot of people in office who are Bitcoiners, right?
Yeah.
The Miami mayor, crazy Bitcoin enthusiast. He actually is making now Bitcoin for city workers to be paid in Bitcoin, and be able to take on Bitcoin and other crypto endeavors are now all moving to Miami. And so you can see politicians are now pivoting because they understand this is the future. Same thing, New York mayor, who just recently got elected a few months ago. He's like, pay me in Bitcoin. 3 months of my salary. I'm like, I want to get paid in Bitcoin. And then Miami mayor is like, oh, you do 3 months? Sorry, I'm doing the whole year. How about that? So they're now competing. So you see this competition now between states, between countries. They understand that this is the genie's out of the bottle. You can't contain it. You can only try to regulate it, but the money's going to go where it's going to go. So you might as well be open to it, like Singapore, and try to attract developers and business people and whoever who wants to make this a proper business endeavor, right? And attract them to come over, the talents, because that inevitably is going to help create prosperity in your country or state.
Yeah. So what are your, maybe let's say 5-year goal, not necessarily regarding crypto, maybe what you do with your profit? Like, where do you see yourself 5 years or 10 years from now? Do you have any vision for your life? Maybe dreams you had as a kid you thought were too big, you could never do it, but now you have faith in something and you want to follow through on that? Yeah.
I think the biggest lesson I learned through investing is understanding the power of compounding. There's one book also that really gave me perspective, and I highly recommend everybody reading it. It's called The Psychology of Money, right? It's a New York Times bestseller, gives you a great perspective on how to view money, right? And compounding. I think compounding is, as Albert Einstein said, it's the 8th wonder of the world, right?
Yeah.
And so my goal now is whatever I'm doing, I'm always looking for ways how I can compound my earnings, right? I have safer bets. these stable coin bets that I just mentioned to you, that's constantly compounding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly looking for ways to generate more income. This is why I'm creating a YouTube channel. Everything is about creating leverage.
Mm-hmm.
There's also another book that talks about this. I highly recommend as well, called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Naval Ravikant is a very successful VC in Silicon Valley. He's a creator of AngelList, and he wrote a book called, or actually it's a Twitter thread, and it got turned into a book. And it's just a very great, insightful, view into kind of his mindset. And it talks about leverage. Everything is about leverage. How do I create more leverage, right?
Yeah.
Business people create labor leverage. They hire people to come and work for them. Investors create capital leverage, right? But now in this digital world, we're trying to create media leverage, right? You're trying to put yourself on the internet and become an expert, right? And so I think for me, right now I'm focused on building my YouTube channel. I think it is a great way to learn, because when I do YouTube, I have to write up a script. I have to do all this research. And I love this, for me, like my passion now is understanding crypto, understanding the problems it solves, understanding that, damn, this thing can really change my life. And it has, man. I was dead broke 6 years ago, dead broke, and crypto completely changed my life. And so I really hope that I can, bring this knowledge, constantly learning, by the way. I'm constantly just trying to learn more. I know nothing, compared to a lot of people, but I'm constantly trying to learn, trying to get better, and just bring value to people. Because I know that once I can bring more value to people, good things will come from that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, that's financially speaking. Do you have any other goals, like other than securing money for your family and for yourself, like health wise or spiritually? Anything you want to talk about in those?
Sure.
fields?
I mean, for me, I'm a fitness nut like you, right? I've been in fitness all my life. So being healthy and fit is the best thing for you, obviously. I mean, health over wealth, right? Obviously you want both, but to be healthy is the number one priority. And so I try to always eat healthy. My mom, by the way, is the biggest health nut in the world. I mean, she is a psycho when it comes to being healthy, right? But it's great, right? It really gave me perspective and taught me a lot. I want to travel the world. I just want freedom, dude. Like, money is great, but it's the freedom that I want. Right? And just being able to travel. Hopefully we can get rid of this COVID BS. But I'm taking a big trip in April and May, and I'll be gone for 2 months. So I'm pretty excited about that. But again, with all this uncertainty, who knows? But my goal now is just I'm 31, right? I'll be 32 this year. My focus is to build this out, create leverage, and see where it goes, because who knows, other doors can open, right? I can go overseas. Who knows? I mean, we live in a digital internet age.
So you don't specifically plan ahead, like you don't micromanage your future. Maybe you're kind of like me. So because I have visions about what I want my future to be, but I don't really say in 5 years I have to do this, or my life has to be there, because the world changes way too fast. Like, nobody saw COVID coming. So what I am trying to do is I try to give myself the maximum amount of freedom to make the choices I want to be able to make in that specific moment. So I want to put myself in a spot where maybe 5 years from now, I want to have kids. I don't currently want to have kids, but maybe in 5 years, I will feel like I want to have kids. And then I want to be in a position where I'm like, okay, I'm able to have kids now, both financially, physically, like I have to be healthy. I have to have time. And so I want to put myself in the best spot to have the maximum amount of freedom to make the life choices that I want to make at that time. And that's why I want to give myself enough time. Do you have any advice for people because it seems like you're very productive, you're very driven. Do you have any secret, or is it just were you just born that way? Did you what made you this kind of driven person?
Listen, man, I am as lazy as anybody else, right?
I
mean, I'm always looking for ways. How do I get the job done in the best of my ability in the laziest way possible, right? But a lot of times there's no way around it, right? You got to put in the work. I mean, for me, the outbreak that we had in Taiwan in May was the best thing that happened to me, because up until that point, I was kind of just very passive. I had gotten into Velas and other projects, and I was to the point where I'm comfortable, right? But I don't have like financial freedom per se, but I'm very comfortable, and like actually kind of, it didn't give me that big of a drive. But then came May and we had the outbreak and we were stuck at home, and dude, for 2 weeks, I watched everything on Netflix. I binged the entire thing, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is this, right? What am I doing, dude?
Yeah.
And so actually, that's when I made the decision. I was like, no, something's got to change. I want to do something. I love crypto. How do I get something going, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point, nothing else was really going on in my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? Like, why don't I get back in front of the camera? Because actually, like I said, I've been doing commercial work since I was 3 years old.
Right? Do you still do that?
Actually, it's funny. I just did a gig last week for a computer hardware company. So here and there, I'll like get gigs. But that's not my main focus, right?
Yeah.
But it was actually because I did another gig back in May of last year that I kind of get in touch again with that part of me, getting in front of the camera, and I was like, all right, well, why don't I try something like this? Right?
Yeah.
And for pretty much a month, I was just researching on different styles and learning how to edit videos, learning about lighting and production and all that, just doing everything by myself. Because before I would just show up, get makeup done, go in front of the camera, right? Everything else I would see get done, but I wouldn't know the nuances behind them.
Yeah.
And so it was a big learning curve, but I loved it. I took so much away from it. And I think that's what ultimately life is, just constantly learning new skills, constantly putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want something big out of life, right?
Right.
Instead of sitting around waiting for something to happen, you got to go and make it happen.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. So same here, like during COVID, there were a couple of months where I didn't have any work. And I mean, I wasn't suffering, but I was just like, okay, how long is this going to go on for? It could be another 5 years. Who knows? There might be another mutation of the virus, and then another lockdown. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Are we just going to be victims of our environment, or am I going to go and try to actively live life, and not just be a recipient of what happens, but I'm creating something. So I was like, okay, I want to spread some self-awareness about, with my podcast, I want to make people think about their story. Everybody has a story. And you are the protagonist of your story, and they're antagonists. But how does the story end? Do you lose to everything? Do you lose to your adversaries? And are you a victim? And what's the story? What's the ending you want your book to have? So I'm really about writing your own story and making yourself the hero of that story. And what do you need to do in order to get there? If one day I die and I want to be able to have a book about my life that inspires people. I want not necessarily really a book, but I want my story to inspire people. And I think a lot of people just don't have the confidence because they've always been on the short end of a lot of bad situations. And so I really want to inspire people to just keep fighting, and just try to see the silver lining, especially with COVID. We could just all be like, the world is fucked. Let's just all sit at home and just feel miserable. But what can we really do to actively change our lives? And so, that's
I would say actually the first thing you can start actually is read a book called Mindset. Mindset is a book by a PhD from Stanford. And this lady looks at the growth versus fixed mindset, right? Everything comes down to your mindset, man. I mean, you can literally, like for me personally, right? My story, like I mentioned, my family went dead broke, right? We had some massive financial issues. But how I looked at it now is that was the biggest lesson of my life. I'm so happy that happened, because now that I went through that, now that I'm making money, I know how to retain it. I know how to hold on to it, right? I know how to invest it. I know I'm learning. I'm constantly learning and trying new things. And that's a growth mindset, because I think for me, understanding that you're in control, no matter what happens, you can always make a decision. Right. You can go dead broke, and then what? I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to try to make money, and then I'm going to learn of ways to grow that money. Right. nobody's going to do it for you. You're the only person that can make it happen for you,
Right.
no matter what people tell you.
Definitely.
You know, and
Yeah, you got to put yourself
in
out
life,
there.
dude, there's so many, you know, just crap that you can go through, right? And so it's just a matter of understanding that shit happens in life.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a lot of unforeseen circumstances that it's probably going to set you back, but you just got to keep trying new things and having that drive to know that no matter what happens, as long as you're learning along the way, good things will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to compete with other people. You just have to compete with yourself. A lot of people say, yeah, but he's better than me and he's more handsome than me and he's richer than me. Yeah. Well, if you base your own happiness on the lives of other people, you will never really be happy because you completely rely on what they do or what they don't do. And you're putting like the control in other people's hands. But I really want to encourage people to take control of their lives by like mindset and health, because those things you have direct control over: what you eat, how active you are, how you connect with people, how talk to people. You put yourself out there. Maybe you have a talent and nobody knows about it because you think nobody else cares. But like maybe when you talk about it enough, somebody will say, hey, you know what? I heard you talk about it the other day. You really inspired me. Let's do this together. Or, you know, if you don't talk about it, if you don't let people know, then you'll always fight your own fight. But I hope that we can get the like-minded people and grow together, share experiences. That's really what I want to do. I hope my podcast can inspire people both in Taiwan and other Chinese speaking countries and English speaking countries, hopefully. So that's why I'm still kind of iffy, like, do I want to do English more, Chinese more? So far, I still think it depends on the guests that I have. Of course, I would prefer English. I would prefer English because it's a global language, but you know, then there are some people who can only do Chinese, and maybe I think as long as some people can benefit from my guests talking about stuff, it doesn't really matter what languages it is. I just want to put some constructive, positive thoughts out there.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely, man. I just want to acknowledge you too. You know, you came to Taiwan, you built something yourself, you know, and that's hard to do, you know. So I definitely want to give you some credit. It's amazing to see, you know, you've grown your social media to where it is today. You have influence to you know, over people, and you're creating good content where you're trying to encourage and you know, keep people's spirits up, right?
Yeah.
And so that's huge, and I love that, you know. And so I'm very appreciative that you have me on, and I'm stoked to talk to you.
Yeah,
you know?
Likewise, man. Yeah, you're doing really well, and thank you for also introducing me to some of these projects. You know, it has had a positive influence on my life. Yeah. So well, it was awesome to talk to you, and I've watched your videos. They're really good. Some good humor in there as well. You're keeping it light. You know, there's a lot of information, but it's also like entertaining. I think that's really good. It's a good mix of both.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I hope you do very well. That.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm just I'm constantly looking for inspiration. I think you have to keep it light, you have to keep it humorous, or else when you're talking about kind of really dense information, people kind of like they zone out. So you gotta like just try to keep it engaging. So that's kind of where I try to do. But yeah, I just started 3 weeks ago. It's definitely the hardest, I think, when you start. But like all things, I think you got to keep consistency, keep compounding. Like everything else, like money, everything compounds, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, my goal is, how do I constantly become a better version of myself, right? Because that will then translate into the work that I do. And so if there's anything that your audience can take away today is that, you know, keep compounding and keep your head up and just keep going for it.
Okay, cool, CH. In case you come across another new project that's really promising, please let me know. There's always new stuff coming up, right?
For sure.
So yeah.
No
cool.
doubt.
Okay. Well, that's it for today. And everybody follow CH's YouTube channel, The Crypto Rabbit Hole. Tons of good information about crypto and mindset and everything. And you'll learn a lot, I promise. And thanks, CH, for being here today. And
I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon.
On our next episode. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.